Okay, it's working now, so starting over. SD card error on the first attempt. Mysterious. As I was saying, we're rapidly getting closer to winter here. The last few days, temperatures have been in the mid-teens, and that's Fahrenheit, not the Celsius, where 15 is actually not all that uncomfortable. In Fahrenheit, it certainly is. Today we got 40 degrees, so it's a heat wave, and that's enough for me to come out and do some flying. I will get to the point where I can fly when it's 15 degrees, but it requires a little bit of acclimation. It takes some time to get used to the cold weather again. So today, nothing really special. I'm going to update my maps. That came out when we get new maps every 28 days, and they're very easy to load once the database is ready. Oh, I probably have to take that out and let it see that. No? Huh. And let's shut this off. Okay, you would think every 28 days that would be not enough for me to forget how to do it. It's right there. It's load files. So we can go down here. And we're going to load the latest map updates. Now this is interesting with the Dynon in that it's free. You get your map updates every 28 days for free. Dynon is the only one I know of that gives them away for free. I would strongly suspect Garmin is charging. Garmin may not charge as much in the experimental market as they do in the certified market, but I'm sure they're charging something. So it's as simple as this. You go to Dynon's website, you download a file, you put it on a memory stick, you bring it out here, and you upload your maps. No pain, no fuss, no reason not to keep your maps updated other than negligence, which happens now and again. So that's going to load up. It'll probably reboot to Skyview, which is okay. We have plenty of time. Wait for the oil to warm up. The oil was on the preheater, and that gets it nice and toasty hot. But it's still, some of that oil was sitting down in the sump, and there's actually a sump heater as well as the tank. There's one also under the crankcase. But there's still oil left in the lines, so the oil could be perfectly warm, but you start moving it around, and that warm mixed with cold, it drops a few degrees. But it's going to pick up quickly. And the other thing I do this time of year, the oil cooler is out underneath the propeller in the front of the cowl, and it's exposed. Of course, you need to be able to air to get into your oil cooler. I just take some aluminum tape, not duct tape. There's a number of reasons you wouldn't want to use duct tape. One is the stickiness of its adhesive. The other is that it's, I'm not sure it wouldn't melt. Aluminum tape, it's normally also used in duct work, but the glue isn't nearly as sticky, and the aluminum's just going to sit on there. It's not going to get mucky or anything like that. And that lets my oil temperature get up into the green. You don't want to fly around with your oil too hot or too cold. And when it gets cold like this, the oil just, if it gets into the green at all, it's just barely. So I put a little, I mean not much, just it covers maybe a 1/4 inch of the top of the oil cooler, which is about like that. I'll probably throw a picture in just so you can get an idea. So did that this morning just to keep the oil a little warmer. And all we're going to do today is fly around and practice a little bit. It's been a while since I've flown. And well, it's not been a while since I've flown. It's been a while since I did some of the more advanced stuff with the Skyview, and I like to practice the Skyview. So really, it's just an excuse to get out and fly. It's a good enough day. And like I say, altimeter set. Okay. And I don't know if we have map info yet. For Bolton, do we have any weather yet? Yeah, we have an altimeter setting. It's 3034. How close was I? Off by 100. That's not bad. Okay, so weather, what we've got is wind calm, visibility 10 miles, sky overcast at 4600, which actually is much worse than forecast. It was supposed to be broken at 8,000, but 4600 is plenty for us. Temperature 3 degrees Celsius, -2 is the dew point, so we're not really too worried about fog. Everything's looking pretty good. Weather rise, especially since we're not going very far, so we can get out of that. We're probably just going to go, well, not probably, I have a very good idea where we're going to go. We're going to go down to Circleville, which is one of my favorite places to practice my little instrument, fake instrument approaches, not instrument approaches. So it's going to be direct to, and that is KCYO. I have not figured out this new interface yet. It's like you have to change that, at least that. There we go. KCYO, that won't be hard to find. Not many KCYs. KCY, oh, there's a lot more than I thought. There it is, KCYO, and we're going to go direct to that. And it's calm, so most convenient runway for us is going to be 19, the one that faces south. So we have to go back into our direct, and we want to pick the runway that we're going to use, which is never the one I want. So there, we're now going direct to runway 19er, direct, there we go. And it's 24 nautical miles, that's not very far at all. So this has to warm up a little bit more, not too much. We're at 113, and we got the long taxi down to whatever runway they want us to go to. So we'll talk again in just a minute. I think I must, no answer from the tower, which means he's, you know, sleeping or who knows what. No answer from the tower.
Terminal 4 Delta.
There he is.
Fulton ground, runway 4, taxi via Bravo and Alpha, wind calling out to minute 3034.
Taxi Bravo and Alpha to runway 4, 4 Delta Golf.
Now, I don't mind going down to runway 4 today. The oil is just about to 120, so we really could go to 22. But I'm going to let that oil warm up a bit more. I don't mind going down to runway 4 today. We'll just get that oil nice and hot. And once the oil's hot, water starts to get a little warmer, and I can get some heat in here as well. So we're on our way for the mile-long taxi down to runway 4. It should be interesting to get a look at the runway again. They closed. We're just coming off a week of another week of runway closure, where you know, we had I can't remember how long it was, 9 weeks or whatever it was, 6 weeks that it was closed while they kind of redid the whole runway and made it nice and flat. But one of the other things they wanted to do was to put some grooves in it to help the jets that actually go fast enough to suffer hydroplaning. They were going to put some grooves in the runway, and they needed the concrete and everything to set up. So they tried to do that this last week, but the first couple days were miserable. We've had just a string of really lousy weather, and they didn't get started until halfway through the week. And they did go ahead and open up on schedule, but they say there's still more work to be done. So it's going to close again. And I'm not sure how much they got done, what they got done. I know they got the regular taxiway signs back up because you'll notice he didn't give me that non-standard markings warning. So there's the new taxiway. It used to be Alpha 3, now it's Charlie. So they've renamed, well, Alpha 3 is gone, and that would have been a continuation. Alpha 3 is now Charlie, okay, so it's no big deal. And I think they've got the lines painted as particular, the way they're supposed to be, but I'm not sure they got the grooving done. So we'll know when we get down to the end of the runway. It'll be something to look at. Okay, we're down at the end of the runway. I'm getting ready to do my run-up. I did remember on the way down here, you can't really make runway 19 or any of the runways you're only direct to because all that does is it draws a tiny little 5-mile segment right outside the airport. It doesn't really get you there. So really what we want to do now is I'm just going to go direct to Circleville. And that'll get us set on our course. And once we get a little closer, I can use track mode to get myself pointed out here for a nice intercept to that 5-mile point, and that's when we'll go to direct to runway 19, and that should set up that VNAV. So I've got our desired altitude set at 3,500. That's going to take us up to our cruising altitude, and I want to be in altitude hold. So I'm going to use the autopilot to hold that 3,500. I want to be in altitude hold so that the VNAV will engage when I get to Circleville. So we're going to go direct to Circleville at 3,500 feet, going over to tower frequency. We've done all of our stuff, make sure the canopy is locked for the 3rd time because we're very paranoid about that for good reason. So we are just about ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick run up here. And we run up at 4,000 RPM. Surprising number for non-geared engines. And we don't have to be exactly on that. And there's a good solid drop. And an equal drop, that's all we really want to see. We're all set there. I'm still here. I hear just a little chirp off of the spinner, but that's all fixed. Okay, all the controls are free and correct. Seat belts are fastened and snug. Of course, I'm dressed for the weather today, so I've got long underwear on, a long sleeve t-shirt, a sweatshirt, a bulky jacket, everything but gloves, essentially. I am wearing my new flying hat. Like, I can't know if you can see that or not. I find it it still has a bill, but it's not as bulky as a baseball cap. I actually like these flat caps a little bit better, even though they probably look somewhat old-fashioned and silly. But who can see me, right? Other than you guys. And you know I'm silly. So we're ready to go.
Fulton Tower, experimental 284 Delta Golf, ready for takeoff. Runway 4 at Alpha 5, departing VFR southbound.
Experimental 4 Delta Golf, Fulton Tower, runway 4, clear for takeoff, southbound departure.
Clear for takeoff, runway 4 with a southbound departure 4 Delta Golf.
Okay, there was a little grooving right there, which was odd, at the spot that I was parked, unless that's to help with braking action when you're running up your engine on a slippery runway. Oh, there's the grooves. You can certainly see them right here at the end. You might not be able to see them because that's a very fine detail. You might be able to hear them. Well, you really can't hear it. You don't hear what's in the headset. But they did get the grooving done. Looks like the painting's done. So hopefully when they close this, it's just for minor touch-up next time they close it. So off we go. Full power. Little bit of precip showing up there to the north. Don't care, we're not going that way, and it's very minor anyway. And there we go. Notice zero effect from the grooves. Not even noisy. So we got 30.34 on the barometer today, so really thick air. We got 40 degrees outside, so nice cool air. So both the wings and the engine are going to be full of power today. That's raring to fly. And so what we've got right now is 1,250 foot per minute climb at 85 knots, which is pretty good by anybody's measure, except maybe a U2 or a F-18 on full afterburner. Now go ahead and make our turn on course, of course. Alright, oh, it's good to be in the air again. Plane's flying very well. Alright, we're in this ridiculous climb. I'm going to go ahead and push the nose down a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and get the altitude and autopilot, and I might as well go ahead and do nav. So, the GPS is flying the airplane where it says altitude 1900. I forgot that it resets that. Oh no, I didn't hit the up button. That's what's wrong. Up, and let's get some power off. There we go. There, now we'll go up to 3,500. And this is why you read this. You make sure it's doing what you think you want it to do, or whatever. So we're on GPS, and now we're on autopilot, vertical speed, 600 feet, climbing to an altitude of 3,500. So you kind of want to verify by reading that line across the top. So there we go. Now I'm going to turn on a little bit of heat. I don't like to turn on the heat because sometimes I have trouble turning it back off again. But that's not going to be a problem until maybe March or April, I think. We're going to want heat for a good long time now. So, here we go. So life in general has been going pretty good. Most of you know that I'm retired, recently retired, if you can call, I don't know, 6 months, a little more than 6 months recent. Still kind of fishing through what I want retirement to be, and I've talked before about not doing anything and regretting that 30 years from now, but as opposed to doing too much and also regretting that 30 years from now. So what I did was I started looking for some volunteer work, and I think there's a website, I think it's called volunteerwatch.com, something like that. You just register your area and the type of work you're interested in, and they'll send you notifications. And I went through twice now. There was an organization that will remain unnamed because I'm not sure why they even advertise for volunteers. I've actually submitted a request to them twice. The work they were looking for, they wanted two things, one of which I was a little more interested in the other. The first was they looked for basically a volunteer IT director to help them coordinate their systems and get everything working together. And that's certainly in my wheelhouse. I did that for years and years. And that's exactly why I wasn't all that sure I wanted it. I was afraid of the time demands. That could easily be 20, 30 hours a week, not what I was looking for. The other opportunity was basically to be on standby while they have people learning how to use Microsoft products like email and Excel and things like that that you need in a modern work environment. And they had computer-based training that they were watching. But the problem with computer-based training is it's recorded and they can't anticipate every question. So they wanted somebody sitting there to be able to dig in a little deeper and provide a fuller explanation. Well, that's part of what I did for the last 16 years. I was, an IT director in a very small office, so I was also the help desk. I submitted a request twice, never heard from them at all. So I moved on, and I found another outfit that was exactly what I was looking for. It's a charity, not a charity, it's a service. It's federally funded. I think there's some state funding. It's to get kids that normally wouldn't be able to get them in a pre-K, preschool type environment. So it's basically infants up to 5 years old. What intrigued me about their advertisement was that they were also looking for kitchen help, and I have a long background in working in kitchens. It was one of my first jobs when I was 12 years old. I cooked pizza professionally while I was in high school for 3 years. I'm comfortable in a kitchen, and it's the kind of work I enjoy. So I contacted them and said, I'm interested in your organization. I like what you're doing. I think it's very neat. It's very worthy. It's something families absolutely need. I'm a strong believer in pre-K, having some experience with my own child. And I told them I was interested in the kitchen work, and they replied back and said, well, that's great. Come and talk to us. So I went and did an interview. and part of the interview was, so why the kitchen? And why would you want to do that when you have all these great kids here? And my answer was very much along the lines of, I understand why people have children. I'm okay with children in principle, but I've had mine, and I think I would just rather stay in the kitchen. It's just so much easier. So it's a kitchen that's cooking. They're making breakfast and lunch for 130 children. They start at 7:30 in the morning. There's the woman that runs the place is in at 7:30. And then there's another employee that I really haven't been able to
bound for a full stop.
And go over to Unicom here soon. Not sure what her function is. I think she's like second in command.
45 Tango, Bolton Tower from the northwest center, A left downwind, runway 4.
Comes in about,
wind is...
No, come on.
Call Mountain, there's 3033.
Oh, that's good news, though. I need to know that.
Left downwind for runway 4, report midfield, 45 Tango.
Comes in about 9 o'clock, so I get there at 7:30. Actually, I get over on that side of town at 6:30 because I still hate a morning commute, and I want to beat the rush hour. So I just go to a restaurant and have some coffee. I show up at 7:30, and we do a lot of the prep work. And what that is opening gigantic. It's Cisco food service. It's restaurant food. So you're opening 5-gallon can. Well, not 5-gallon. 10-pound cans of fruit cocktail, or you're dealing with 10, 20 pounds of frozen chicken in 6 different bags. We need 130 pieces of chicken, and nothing gets thawed out. So a lot of it is just stirring stuff around in the sink, trying to get it thawed out, and putting butter on bagels, and just things like that. And it's been going very, very well, and I'm truly enjoying it. My only real problem was the last day I was there last week, I decided I would take it upon myself to carry a 4.5 gallon of water in a 5-gallon pot from the sink to the stove, and a couple things happened with that. One, it wrenched my back. I need to be very, very careful about my back, and I simply wasn't. And the other thing that happened was it sloshed over and it spilled right down my leg, and in a pattern that's going to be very familiar to people that are working with 2 or 3-year-olds out of diapers but not quite housebroken. So I had to stay a little bit longer before I could leave until my pant leg dried out. But it's going really well, and I'm enjoying it. I do it 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. They're 7:30 till about 10:30 or 11. It's very, very easy to do, but it makes me feel like I'm doing something. And one of the things I remember the most, I'm going to go ahead and do my direct to. I did a little mini retirement speech, the retirement party dinner that I went to. Let's see, I want to turn off nav. I actually want to go on track before I do this. So I'm going to line up my track, and I'm going to hit the track button, and I'm going to line my track up again. There we go. Now I'm going to go direct to, and I'm going to go direct to the runway. And now when I press that shouldn't change anything because I've got my course set. It's not going to take me direct to right away. Now I'm going to set my intercept to it. I want to be outside of that purple bar. So I'll just point at Izoki or whatever that's called. And now that should be doing, well, it's not. I got to go back to nav. I'll have to go to nav when it's ready. Okay, nav. That's going to give me an intercept course. I'm going to intercept on my track to that inbound course, and I'm going to go VNav. So that's all ready to go. So I should not have to do another thing, and I can finish my story. I don't remember where, oh yes, I was talking about my retirement dinner. So they wanted me to do a little speech, and I didn't prepare anything. I never prepare a speech. I just stand up and start speaking. And one of the things I do remember saying, I don't remember most of what I said, but you have to tell them why you're going to miss the place. And the one thing I could say with absolute certainty is what I was going to miss was being part of something bigger. And in my line of work, I not only was a part of the company, but I was very, very helpful. I did a lot of things that helped people make their jobs easier. And I think that's what appeals to me. These people have been running this kitchen. They're on the very bottom to get a volunteer. Everybody wants to play with the kids. Nobody wants to work in the kitchen. I'm not sure they've ever had a volunteer. So they're just thrilled to have me. And they're probably coached to do this, and it's a very good idea. They're very thankful. At the end of the day, thank you very much. You were a big help, and it really does help them get through the busiest part of their day. So it gives me back a little bit of that. I'm helping a couple of people towards a greater good, and that feels good. And I mean, that's probably mostly the reason I'm doing it, is just to help myself feel better about myself. That's why I do everything. I'm very self-centered. I mean, who else yaps and yaps and yaps on videos? Anyway, we ought to be listening to what's going on now. Let's go ahead. We're done with Bolton. We're far enough out. I don't care anymore. So we're going to go into map, and we're going to go to info, and we're going to pop over to comm, and we're going to go ahead and push the Unicom in, and we'll pop on over to that.
Unicom says me, 5 miles, final 7. Full stop. Any traffic, please advise.
And we're still 10 miles out, so we're not going to make a call quite yet. But in any event, that's what's going on with retirement. I've dropped most of my other busy projects. The 12 or so hours I'm doing a week, 9 to 12 hours a week at work is enough to make me feel like I'm doing something, and then I pick up projects here and there, just fun things to do. I'm doing an awful lot of game reviews at Gaming Nexus. That's something I went back to when I retired, and getting lots and lots of reviews. Normally, the way it worked when I was working, they assigned things to me. There were a couple editors that would get the requests, and then they'd parcel them out. I still get those. I get a lot of those, but I'm also getting people, developers and publishers coming to me directly to do their game, to look at their game and write a review. So I've been very, very busy with the writing, so I'm not writing to the blog at all anymore. I just, I get my writing fixed by writing these game reviews. And of course I get to keep the games. It doesn't pay, but the games are pretty good. And I like most of them. I hardly ever get one I don't like. And so I enjoy that. I play the game for 5 to 8 hours till I get a really, really good feel for it. I don't necessarily complete the game. Some games can take up to 20-some hours to complete all the way through, so I don't bother going all the way through them. Some games I continue to play long after I've reviewed them just because I like them so much. So I've got that going on, and that keeps me busy. And then afternoons I kind of reserved for the house cleaning is done by then. The reason I do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in the kitchen is because that's when the house is being cleaned at home, and it's easier for all involved for me to be out of the way. So that gives us Monday and Friday, and then of course the weekends, and then the afternoons for spouse-related activities, whether that be running errands or whatever. So it's I'm kind of getting into a rhythm. I'm really enjoying it. It's hard not to enjoy retirement, I suppose. Kind of sound like a selfish, spoiled little idiot if you do, but all in all, things are going very well. Airplane's flying great. Looks like we've started our descent before we have gotten to the inbound track, which is interesting. I guess it needs that to maintain my 3 degrees glide slope that I set for it. So you got to pay attention to this, even while you're sitting here yapping along. You got to pay attention. So you can see what's happening now. We're going to intercept there, but we've already started our descent down to 1,485 feet. We're down to 3,180. We were at 3,500. So what we're going to get here in just a little bit is awkward, I hate these, a descending right turn.
Traffic Cessna, November 16127, 5 miles northwest, landing Carroll County.
Carroll County. So it's going to be a descending turn under the control of the autopilot, which is just get you a little tense just because you're not in control. Of course, I'm right here. So we should be seeing that here any second now. There it goes, starting to make the turn now, or it started to twitch into the turn. We're 6.5 miles north, so I'm going to go ahead and make a call.
Circleville, Pickaway County traffic, experimental 284 Delta Golf, 6.5 miles north, inbound runway 19er, Circleville, Pickaway.
And I'll decide my intentions when we get there. Probably just do a go-around. So yeah, it's actually, this is not awkward at all. It's making an extremely gentle turn onto course. So it's not the kind of turn it would have made if I was flying along and I said, I'm a half a mile from my nav line, take me back to nav. It would have been a turn like this. This has been a very gentle turn. So not spooky at all. What is a little spooky is I cannot yet see the airport. And we're really pointed right at it, so that's kind of interesting. Oh, there it is. It's just kind of murky out here today. We got kind of sort of clouds, sort of not clouds. I'm kind of in the sun while the airport's in the shade, making it hard to see the runway. But I've got a good look at it now. We do not want to forget to slow down the airplane. It would be very easy to blaze on down here at 105 knots and not be able to put down my flaps because I need to be down at 82 knots for that. So I'm going to go ahead and pull back the power. Now the nice thing about this is the autopilot will adjust. All I have to do is manage power. It's going to adjust to that in every facet all by itself. I'm just managing the throttle. And it looks like I have a new update. I'm on version 15.2, and I can't tell yet whether they fixed that bug that would have us lined up 100 feet or 100 yards, can't remember which, probably 100 feet, to the left of the runway. Right now it looks like we're right of the runway, but I do have a little bit of crosswind, so some of that's going to be the autopilot crabbing into that crosswind. So it'll be interesting to see how this turns out. Right now it looks right on. It does not look like it's off to the left anymore, which would be a nice fix. We got 3.8 miles to go, and we're 2,000 feet. So we got another 600 to go on the descent.
Approaching altitude.
There we go. So this went very, very well. I don't seem to have forgotten anything. I'm at 80 knots, so I could dump the flaps. Now,
Urbana Grimes,
let's put the flaps down and see how the autopilot responds, because that's going to give us a nose-down dip.
Descending into Urbana Grimes.
Now that's interesting. Look at all the left turning it did there. I put down the flaps and it yanked it immediately to the left.
Urbana Grimes traffic, Cherokee 54461.
That was strange.
4 to the east, we're going to plan a left downwind for 20, Urbana Grimes. Circleville, Pickaway County, 284 Delta Golf is 2.9 north, runway 19er, be a low pass, Circleville.
We're slowing down well, and now we're back on course. We're right on the runway. Don't know why it jumped like that when I put down the flaps. That's kind of interesting. Well, maybe because, well, no, the roll servo's way back there. It's behind the mixer. I'm just thinking out loud now, but I'm not really sure why that happened. Doesn't do that without the autopilot on. It doesn't just yank. Well, maybe it does. I'm usually holding the stick. But that's going to be interesting. This is another interesting thing. I'm not going to want to just dump those flaps when we get down low like this, and I probably don't really need to extend them really fast like that either. I should probably just kind of ease them in. If I dump them and I get another commensurate dip, I'm going to get a little scared. So here's 1,500 feet. Now here's where you got to watch out. We're leveling off.
For runway 20, Urbana Grand.
And of course, when we level off, we're going to lose some airspeed, right? We're not descending anymore. And if I don't manage the throttle, this will shut itself off at a minimum airspeed. It will not put me into a stall, but it'll get us mighty slow. So I'm just going to increase throttle here, and we're just going to cruise down here at 68 knots. And it looks like we're pretty close to the line with the runway. So I guess with 15.2, they fixed that leftward bug. This is looking pretty good. Now from here, I could easily make a straight in.
Urbana Grimes, traffic, Skyhawk 36 Quebec. 4 miles south, inbound, 2,700 descending into Urbana Grimes.
Okay, well.
This
So
will be a straight in 02 at Urbana Grimes.
Oh, that's a little rude. The reason I was getting ready to say Urbana is busy.
Cherokee
Yeah, see.
461 is a left downwind getting ready to turn base for runway 20.
Yeah, well now you got a straight in on the other runway, so you guys need to
I think
listen.
you'll be on the ground and off before I get there.
You guess, huh? It's busy there because there's a restaurant there and it's Sunday morning. That's what I've been trying to squeak out. So there's a lot of people coming in Urbana, and I'm doing a straight in at an airport where there's nobody here, and I'm not landing. I'm just at pattern altitude or a little bit below pattern altitude, so that's not even that big of a deal. But
50400 is 6 to the south, going right left, downwind 420, Urbana Grimes.
Well, he's paying attention. Yeah, so you got a guy coming in opposite runway on a straight in when you got all these people in the pattern for the other runway. I don't think people understand Urbana on Sundays.
Cherokee 461 is left base for 20, left base 20, Urbana Grimes.
All right, we're directly over the airport. I'm going to give a little bit of throttle, but I have to remember that I have the flaps down, so I don't want to get going too fast, but I'm giving it throttle because the flaps are going to slowly, there it's dipping to the right, see that? Even going slow, I get a big dip to the right. All right, and what we're going to do now, climb on out of here, let's make our altitude up. We'll go back up 3,500, up. And let's go ahead and set a track out of here.
Urbana Grimes, traffic, Skyhawk 36 Quebec.
Track.
About 2 miles south of the airport, entering into a left downwind 20, Urbana Grimes, full stop.
And there we go. So now while it's making this turn onto the track, I can be going back in here and saying that I want the pilots down. Where is it? Out to direct to, back to Bolton. So direct to, back to Bolton. And now I have my direct to, and I can go ahead and just track around to that, and we'll get a nice intercept on that. I don't know if you can see that. Just going to take a real easy intercept on that. All right, so post go around, we've got the flaps up. We're on course. We're climbing to our altitude. Everything's set. I don't really need to do a thing but pay attention. Well, we're flying track 334. I have not yet done this. I keep skipping this step. I got to hit nav. There we go. That'll put us back on that nav course. And that's why we read across here. It up here said TRK. It didn't say GPS. Or what it could have said was TRK to GPS and then at a number of degrees. All right, we can zoom that back out. Going to the wrong knobs a lot here. A little bit out of practice. All right, well, that's it for our approach into Circleville. Not much more to talk about for now. Now we're back. We're inbound back to Bolton, and there's now 3 planes at Urbana landing 20. 2 of them are on left base at the same time, which must be something to see. Never did hear back from the guy that was doing the straight in on runway 2.
Bolton Tower, Cherokee 410 is 2 miles on a right base for runway 4.
Okay, landing 4, that's not a surprise.
Cherokee 410, runway 4, clear to land.
Got a little bit of precip out here. This little green and yellow.
Clear to land, runway 4.
You won't even see water. You can fly under that and not even see sprinkles under that. There's a cloud there that has some moisture in it, but if it's just that light green, there's nothing coming out of it. So we're probably gonna get a report of 2 mile left base for runway 4 when we get a little bit closer. We're only at 3,000 feet. There was no reason to go all the way up to 35. We're not that far from back. I've got 19 miles to go. Everything's doing great. I've got the oil is, loafing along at 4,900 RPM, but the oil's gotten up to 196. Without that tape out there, that may have been, it probably still would have made it to the green. I probably don't really need the tape right now. But that's right around where you want to be. So the tape is, if not helping, it's certainly not hurting either. So everything's just cooking right along. We should be there in about, 10 minutes. Actually, as I think this through for a few more seconds, we're not going to get a report left base, right base, anything. We're going to get a report midfield left downwind for 4 because we're coming up like this. We're actually set up perfectly for it. So relatively sure what I'm going to get from him is 284 Delta Golf report midfield left downwind runway 4 in about 6 minutes.
Tower experimental 284 Delta Golf 7 miles south inbound landing.
Experimental 284 Delta Golf Bolton Tower, maneuver for the straight and approach to runway 4, report 2 miles out, wind calm altimeter 3033.
Tower, could you say that again?
Terminal 4 Delta Golf, maneuver for a straight-in approach to runway 4, report 2 miles on final. Wind calm altimeter 3033.
Maneuver for straight-in runway 4 Delta Golf.
Boy, that one, that was a new one on me. They trip me up every now and then. All right, well, maneuvering for a straight-in, that's actually pretty easy to do once I find the right knob. There we go. Now we'll go to track. There we go, and we can start, well, actually, let's just fly it. We'll just fly it. We don't need any autopilot. That's for sissies. Yeah, that wasn't going to work. I was thinking midfield, that would have been midfield left downwind to 2-2. I had my head completely wrong. And this is why, when it gets winter like this, you got to come out and practice. That was just a silly mistake. Now, what's interesting, normally they would have cleared me for a, well, maybe because I was due south, they could have cleared me to report a 2 mile right base for 4, because that's essentially what I'm doing right now. I'm flying away the hell out here, right base for 4. So, interesting. And that's why I had to ask him to repeat that, because I just had my head fixated on that midfield left downwind, which was utterly wrong. And he wants a 2 mile, which, okay, yeah, we can do that. We can do a 2 mile final. We'll stay out here long enough so I don't just end up inside of 2 miles while I'm still on what's my extended right base here. A little wrinkle today. That was neat. Too bad I failed on it. I guess slow down a little bit. And let's see. Now I'm going to dump these flaps down and see if there's any kind of left banking tendency, and I really don't think there's going to be, but I'll kind of leave loose grip on the stick, so if I'm not hiding it by working against the stick. So we're just about ready to turn our final. Here it comes, and we are 3.2 out, so I don't need to make my call yet. It's very easy to forget that 2 mile call also. I've done that once or twice before. They don't like that. Boy, you can really see the runway with all that sharp new paint on it. Okay, so here come the flaps, and I'm just very gentle on the stick here. Nothing. No bank at all. So that's a weird thing. Autopilot does that. That's odd. Into that. And we're 2.5. I'm going to give him just a little bit more because we're still not quite 2 miles. Split the difference between that and the GPS, which is measuring to the middle of the runway, which is a half a mile down. So we'll go to about 2.3. We'll call that 2 miles.
Bolt Tower 284, Delta Golf is 2 mile final, runway 4.
Terminal 4, Delta Golf, runway 4, clear to land.
Clear to land, runway 4 Delta Golf.
That wasn't too bad. And we're going to land long. We're still going down to Alpha 3, but Alpha 3 is not as far away as it used to be, so I do have to adjust for that. I can't land like I'm used to. Alpha 3 is closer to us than we're used to now. But we'll land right on the solid 1,000-foot mark there, and that gives us plenty of room to stop before what used to be Alpha 4. We never had any trouble making Alpha 4 either. Just have to remember that I'm not going as far down the runway. Fairly good crosswind still. It'll lighten up here when we get down in the flare. Looking pretty good for the solid white bars. Little long, just a titch long. Boonk. And a carrier arrival. That nose wheel wobbling. There we go. Left Alpha 3. Alpha to Charlie, monogram 0.8. Come on, say it. You know you want to. Oh, did it for that other guy.
Bolt ground 4 Delta Golf, Alpha 3, taxi to park.
Terminal 4, Delta Golf, taxi parking via Alpha and Charlie.
Alpha to Charlie to park, 4 Delta Golf.
And I guess I'm staying on, I'm already on ground, okay. So you heard, I don't know if you were with me when that guy landed, and I mean, 9 times out of 10, they proactively just left Alpha 3, blah, blah, blah. But every now and then, they make me call them and ask. And I'm not sure why that is. And I may have mentioned this before, there's a lot of people here that just go ahead and do it anyway and just let it go, but it just seems like, you know, part of the process is you call the ground control. You don't just assume anything. So, I don't take chances like that. If they don't tell me, I call them. I didn't stay very long. Must have been dropping somebody off or using a bathroom or something. He's on his way back out already. Or he found out the barbecue place doesn't open this early. Alright, well that's it. It's up to 44 degrees now, so it'll be a little bit, just a tad warmer when I get out of the airplane and head home. And thanks for riding along. Tell me what you think of that. Well, maybe don't. P.S. This happens now and then. Yeah. That's a nice little Archer. Cherokee, probably Cherokee. We got a lot of Cherokees here. They're neat little airplanes. I think if I was ever going back to store-bought, it would probably be a Cherokee. I don't think I can afford an Archer. An Archer is just a newer Cherokee, but the Cherokees are very, very affordable. I mean, they tend to be 50 years old, but there's not that much wrong with that. They're very good airplanes, and parts availability is the only thing you would maybe worry about, but there's no problem finding parts for Cherokees. Oh, you got enough? He thinks I have enough. Okay, well, we'll see. We're hoping for the best.